and welcome back to another episode of Beauty Catch. Today we are talking everything beauty and breath work, which I know you're probably wondering what the connection is between the two. Myself and Michael will dive right into that shortly once he joins the chat. So as you girls remember, I always say that Beauty Catch is where your inner reflection meets your outer reflection. So we're going to talk all things beauty that only make you feel amazing from the inside, but also from the outside. And let me check to see where Michael is. Hi, everyone. So while he's adding in, oh, actually I see it right there. Go live with, perfect. So we're just waiting for Michael to join. How's everybody's morning going so far? There he is.
Hey.
Hi, Michael.
Let me get my phone set up here.
Are you sitting in your house?
Yeah, this is my bamboo garden behind me.
So for those of you who don't know, Michael lives in this like beautiful house by the beach, and it's like a bamboo garden. You walk in, you feel like you're just immediately at some meditation retreat. So it's like you get to vacation in your own home. So thank you so much for joining us. I was just letting everybody know that today we're going to be talking about beauty and breath work and what the connection is between the two. Before we get started, just to give you a quick intro. So this is Michael Stone. He is a holotropic breathwork facilitator, but he created his own module called Neurodynamic Breathwork, which I personally love because it's just basically the same principles of breathing, but you're able to do it from your own home. Right now we're doing it on Zoom because obviously there's quarantine and restrictions. Otherwise, he has amazing retreats. And just so you guys know, like this breath work, I've now been doing it with Michael for, I think, over 6 weeks now. And it has probably been the best decision that I ever made in my entire life. And it's been life-changing. So I'm really excited to share this with you all as well. So whatever's been working for me, I'm sure would work for many of you as well. So that's a little bit about how I know Michael and how he's going to make everyone feel amazing and better and great about themselves. So, Michael, let's start off with, so for people who don't know what breath work is, right? Someone that thinks breath work, they're thinking, oh, just breathing in and out. But this is a specific technique that's able to get you to get rid of limiting beliefs and deal with past traumas and heal your inner child. So how would you explain breath work to someone that doesn't know what breath work is?
This is a specific type of breathing that is specifically designed to quiet your ego mind, this little chit-chat mind that's in your head all the time, and to allow you to really have an inner journey and connect to what's happening inside of you, to connect with these unconscious limiting beliefs that you have, to connect to these tensions that you're holding in your body that are keeping you from being like fully healthy. And the underlying principle is that everybody has, I call it like an inner guiding intelligence. You can look at it as an inner wisdom, or where but it's blocked because you have this crazy ego mind that's constantly chatting in your head and throwing out like these negative beliefs that are throwing chemicals into your body that are not healthy. So through this like breath and also music, we basically quiet the ego mind and which allows people to connect to this inner wisdom and get these downloads, get releases in their body, get kind of more insight into what's really holding them back from the real goals that they want to achieve in their life.
You know, I love that you said that because a lot of people, when they hear healing, there's such a taboo when it comes to healing. People think they need to have gone through some kind of crazy trauma, but some people don't understand. It could be as small as, being a kid and feeling like you didn't get enough attention, and it limits you to thinking that, or creates this thing where you need like validation or you need these outside factors. So if you don't mind diving a little bit more into the limiting beliefs part, because I think that's the most beneficial part of breath work and that applies to everyone, is kind of getting rid of those limiting beliefs that you believe about yourself.
Right. And many of these limiting beliefs are unconscious. And that's the problem. It's like once you bring them to consciousness and kind of see what's really happening, then you can start to work with them. While they're running you from the unconscious, you can't do anything. You're just kind of a victim of these beliefs. And just to give you an example of one of my own limiting beliefs that I found through breath work is that throughout most of my life, My relationships were, I could say bad, but they were horrible. That's the bottom line. You know, they would be fairly short and they would end up in drama, breakups, all kinds of trouble. And I always thought, I'm a pretty smart guy here. I can figure this out. I know I should be able to figure it out, but I never could. And so I just got more frustrated because I kept thinking, okay, maybe it's this person. I'll find another person that's different. What I didn't realize at the time was that the common factor was me, not the other people, and that I was creating the problems. But I just couldn't see that. I couldn't make the connection. And then in breath work, in one of my sessions, I went back to my childhood. And sometimes this happens. You can kind of take this journey back to things that happened to you earlier in life or whatever. And I went back to a time when I was quite little. And both of my parents are German Jews and kind of had to flee for their lives out of Germany, you know, in order not to get killed after they'd been in their communities for hundreds and hundreds of years.
So you had the ancestral trauma.
Yeah, exactly. And like what I took away from my childhood was that, okay, my parents were, you know, in for hundreds of years in their cities, and then one day they had to run for their lives. You can't trust anything. You can't trust anybody.
Same with my parents.
Yeah, and so that was, I mean, I didn't consciously understand that I believed that, but it was one of my unconscious, what I call limiting beliefs. So as you can imagine, if you go into a relationship with the belief that you can't trust anybody, how can you possibly have a good relationship? So I would go into all my relationships holding back because, okay, I can't totally trust this person, so I can't really open myself up. So of course they would get frustrated.
Yeah.
and get irritated.
Or you're in fight or flight mode, like you think the person's not going to stick around. And I love that you brought up relationships because that's pretty much what I was going to tie in. I think the two most important things that people don't realize is breath work helps tremendously with relationships, and it also helps a lot with beauty. So before we dive into beauty, with relationships, I think it's very interesting because a lot of people don't realize that, you know, we go into relationships not having healed certain things or carrying stuff from one relationship to the other. As you said, you know, you're in fight or flight mode, or you don't think something's going to last. And what breath work does is just simply doing this technique from home. It's so easy to do. He does it like 4 days a week. I was the extra person to the point that Michael's like, Lina, okay, that's too much. Like, stop doing so many sessions. I think there's a couple weeks I did 5, and then a couple weeks I did 4, because you got to go through a lot, and you have to be willing to want to do it. And what I think is amazing is that breath work, just using your own breath and this guided technique with you, that you make it like super comfortable, and it's us in our own control. We're able to get past like so many limiting beliefs about ourselves and limiting beliefs in relationships. And some people don't even realize that if you handle and you take care of and nurture some of these limiting beliefs, you will have no problems for the rest of your life with being able to get through stuff. And as you said, like, have your inner guidance allow you to get to the next stage in the relationship or the next stage in life.
Right. Yeah. Just like for me, once I actually got to the bottom of, okay, this is what the problem is, I could go into a relationship and basically come from a space where I could look at, okay, this is my kind of recording from childhood, but that's not me. I don't have to be like that. I can open myself up. It's okay.
Yeah.
And it shifted my ability to, once I saw that basically it was all coming from me, not the other person. It's like, if you believe the other person's causing the problem, you put yourself in a position of being a victim in a sense, because what can you do? But if you get to the bottom and do your own inner work and see how you can shift, when you shift, the other person will also shift with you, or they'll leave, one of the two. But
Yeah.
it's this kind of like this. So
And what's interesting is, so someone had asked about psychotherapy. So I've tried different forms of therapy. I've tried it all. I'm that person that's gonna analyze and overanalyze and try everything under the sun. So psychotherapy and therapy is great. I don't dock any of it. But for me, what I found with breathwork is it's an accelerated, you know, they even had a module online saying that what 5 to 7 sessions of breath work would compare to like years of therapy and, you know, talking about your problems. Because what I found was therapy was just reliving the problems and just talking about it over and over again. And their goal is to help you kind of get your inner guidance to kick in, but you can't even get to that subconscious level when you're like not on that, you know what I mean? Like, you can't even get to that conscious level of thinking when we're still in our subconscious 95% of the day. So for me, what I found with breathwork is it's a much accelerated version of getting to who you really are. Like, who is Lina really outside of the chit chat mind, the overthinking. And for those of you that don't know what the monkey mind is that he was referring to, it's that mind, like, for example, when you get up and you want to go to the gym and you don't get up instantly, your mind goes, but that Pop-Tart sounds way better. And, you can just do it tomorrow. Or like when you're going on a job interview or you're going on a date, you're like, I just, I don't feel enough. I don't feel pretty enough. This is going to end anyways. Everybody leaves. Nobody sticks around. Don't even waste your time. You're just going to get hurt. So it kind of quiets that mind, and then it allows you to kind of be yourself. And what's your thoughts on therapy versus psychotherapy alone versus breath work and doing both?
Basically, I believe that, part of what on the underlying principle in breath work is really to connect with and trust your own inner guidance and what kind of resonates with you. And for some people, doing breath work and therapy is a great combination. And part of it depends on the therapist, and how skilled they are too, in terms of what they're doing. But so it's really about seeing for yourself what works for you and what doesn't. And
Yeah.
we'll do, like, for instance, a breathwork session, and then they do a therapy session and go in and talk about their breathwork session and are able to get more insights because the therapist knows them very well by that point. So
Yeah.
breathwork isn't something where I say, okay, do breathwork, drop all your other stuff. It can be a very, very nice adjunct to whatever else you feel is supporting and helping you in your life already.
And someone asked, how often should someone do breath work? I don't think you should listen to me because I was the opposite extreme and I did it every single day it was available. But how many days a week do you think would you recommend it?
And again, with breath work, we always say, like, go with what feels right. Go with you. This is really about starting to create this neural pathway where you can start to connect to this amazing kind of inner wisdom and inner guidance that you have. And, that's why we call, or at least I call, this kind of breath work a modality of radical self-empowerment, because you start to learn to trust yourself more and you start to connect with yourself more. And so just like, if someone asks, well, how often should I do it? Basically, there is no correct answer to that. And because everybody's different, everybody has different needs. Sometimes with deeper experiences, you should wait a little longer till you feel like, okay, I've kind of got that, I'm ready to go again. So I always say, trust your inner guidance. When it feels right to do the next one, just go and do it. But that's why we do 4 or 5 a week. So if you feel like you want to do it, within 24 hours, there's a session you can join in on. And some people do it twice a month. Some people do it 2 or 3 times a week. And then sometimes people do it for 2 or 3 times a week for a while. And then I kind of want to cut back for a little while. And then they do it twice a month for a while, and then they do it more. But it's really starting to, in every area of your life, starting to really listen to this amazing, quiet little voice that's under the ego mind that is this inner guidance that really knows what's right for you.
And something that I just found out from Michael. So Michael and I guess I would say he's my therapist too, because I get my group sessions and then I'm like, Michael, what is this and what's this? And then we'll get on a Zoom call. So something that also helps with the relationship, and I think it helps with beauty, is breathwork has 100% allowed me to embrace my inner feminine. So although I look feminine, I have the hair, the makeup, and the clothes, I'm not very feminine. Or I would like to restate that. I am now more feminine. I've definitely, in the last like 6 weeks, I've worked very hard on embracing my inner feminine. And a lot of times, Michael and I have talked about this, it happens when you have a wounded masculine, meaning that, there's men in your life. It could be a brother, a dad, a past relationship where you felt the need to be more masculine to compensate, or it could just be, feeling that I wanted to get to a certain place in my life with work and school, and, you're always on the go, go, go. So you're constantly in your mind. And I'm someone that's always been overthinking, and I've often had anxiety. So breath work is, as Michael explains, it's feminine, and it's being in your body. So what I found is just even that alone, just doing this breath work 4 or 5 times a week, it's an hour of the actual breathing, being in my body. I've been able to get more in tune with my life. I'm now rollerblading, I'm biking. I used to never like taking baths and massages, and now I have my whole little like bath setup. So that in itself is not only important for beauty, but it's important for relationships, because you need a proper balance of masculine and feminine energy. And a lot of girls don't understand this, is that sometimes when there's an imbalance in relationships, it's because the girl's not embracing their feminine. And that doesn't mean, as I said, hair and makeup and this. It just means being in your body. And as Michael said, kind of trusting your inner guidance. So if you can just kind of give a brief explanation on how exactly breathwork is considered a feminine kind of module.
Breathwork is a process where it's not like you go in and you're trying to make something happen, where you're not trying to push through something. It's more a modality of like what we call surrender and let go, and just kind of more opening up to whatever wants to happen and letting it happen. And part of how, at least how I feel, that breathwork really supports people or women getting in touch with their inner feminine is that I think many times it takes courage to allow yourself to really access that energy and be vulnerable and be open, because you can get hurt.
Yeah.
And in breath work, you start to really get in touch with this kind of inner guidance, with this inner wisdom, and you start to develop a confidence and feeling self-empowered and like being more in your power. And when you're in your power and you feel confident, you can be okay with being vulnerable, because you know that, yeah, you know what, if someone, comes back and kind of attacks me, whatever, I'm fine with that. I'm just going to be who I am. So it's really a question of, and you can see it in breathwork actually. It's like sometimes, we have a sharing group at the end, and people's faces, oh my God, they just look so different.
They're smiling.
Yeah, and you can just like their inner, especially if we get mostly women, and like afterwards they're sharing, and you can just see their inner beauty just radiating out from their face, where before their face was tense and stressed a little bit. And it's just when the tension's out of your being, when you just feel okay and open and kind of that it's safe to open up your heart, it's just a huge difference in how you present yourself to the world.
And your smile is your best accessory. For example, anybody that's watching this that sees me on my story, I get up at 11 o'clock at night and something just tells me to get up and start rollerblading. And I'm in a safe area because I know I get tons of messages about it. I'm like not in LA. I'm out visiting my parents. It's a very suburban area, but you're just happy. And it's so hard to explain, because I've always talked about faking it till you make it, like just faking these smiles. And listen, like I have things that I'm going on in my personal life that, would make me upset from time to time, but you come out of breath work and it's almost like, oh, like you feel so good. You just want to be in the sun and you want to be in nature. And so I kind of went from someone that was really confined to my apartment to wanting to go out hiking, wanting to go rollerblading, wanting to go biking. And you're just so happy. And there's just something that's so magnetic about someone that's happy. And I think more than having the best hair or having the best makeup, especially if you're someone that's single and looking for a relationship, or you're in a relationship and you want to, be happy with the other person, is realizing that the key to keeping someone engaged and kind of like mesmerized by you is just being happy, like truly being happy from the core, not needing anybody to complete you. And listen, I've been there. I've been at that place where, you don't know why you're not happy. It's just like these feelings that come in, where breath work kind of just helps you. At least I felt with you and these sessions that we've done, is it just helps me get rid of just this bottled down sadness or resentment or anger, whatever you want to call it. And it just allows me to be just happy. Like I smile from like the inside, and you can't beat that smile with any makeup, any hair, any skincare. You can't beat any of it with that smile. So that's the thing, is just people understanding that when you are that happy, it's like a magnet. You'll just attract everything in your life that you want.
And just to add one more thing to that, that's part of it, but it's also about starting to get experience with being embodied, I call it, being in your body, because almost everybody spends 95% of their life in their mind.
Yeah.
Planning the future, thinking about the past, worrying about things, and we're almost never in our body. And the mind is always in the past or the future. The body is always in the moment. And so in your breathwork sessions, basically the mind gets quieted down and you like really drop into your body. And sometimes emotions get released, but these are things that you've been bottling in that have been causing, problems with your immune system, with your health, that this inner guidance is, once you give it permission to, just wants to release.
Yeah.
Going through these emotions may not, it may not be the easiest thing if they're like sadness and stuff like that, but it's just so incredibly healthy for your body not to repress this stuff. And once you start to get more used to being embodied and how it feels, and you can start to really imprint that and bring it out into your life, like normally, like when you're talking to someone, your mind is already thinking, when they're talking, your mind is thinking about how you're going to respond to them. You're not really listening. Kind of like you're already thinking, oh, I'm going to say this when they're done. And if you can just kind of pull yourself back into your body and be present with the other person, it's the most sexy thing, the biggest gift you can give to the other person. They just feel seen. And some people, if you can really start to master that, they'll just start to cry because no one ever does that. You know?
Imagine how many relationships what you just said would be saved. Because as women, I'm not going to speak on all women, but I'm pretty sure, like, especially from the girls I've talked to, this happens, is we're always on the defense. So while the guy's talking or our partner's talking, we're already, as you said, thinking about what I'm going to say next. And that's why, remember when you and I were talking about what we're going to talk about today, I even told you, I'm like, I have an idea of what I'm going to ask, but I've learned that I rather listen to what you're saying because there's something I can get from what you're saying to kind of further it. And it's more of
Right.
an organic conversation than, okay, stop. What's my next question? My next question's right here. So it kind of like chops up the conversation. So imagine in a relationship, and I've had this problem. I can't even tell you probably in most relationships I've been in, whether it's with a guy or family members, where my anxiety is already trying to make connections with what the person's saying. So I, at some point, am tuned out. So, when you already are in your mind, you're not even listening to the rest of what they're saying. So it causes that disconnect, and you're not even really truly understanding what the person's saying. And that's why in relationships, they say communication is key. So people don't even realize how breath work and allowing it to make us more present and be better listeners and be the best versions of ourselves can absolutely help in relationships. And I think you offer couples breath work, right?
Well, we offer couples breath work in person, yes. Like when we do in-person sessions where people can do breathing together and kind of hold space for each other. And
Yeah.
is as part of kind of couples learning how to be better connected and really listening to the other person and really hearing what the other person has to say when they share the experience afterwards. It can be very, very powerful, yes.
Yeah, and especially for women, guys they're so simple sometimes, and a lot of times they really just say what they mean. And we have to like make these connections in our head. Well, like 3 days ago he said this, and then yesterday he said this, and then I remember a year ago he said this. And we're making these connections when all you really just have to do is be in tune and listen. And when you're really listening, just ask a follow-up question, just to clarify, you said this, a couple of days ago you mentioned this, like, is there a connection between the two? And just being really not offensive about it and really not coming at them trying to say it, but really just listening and being in your body. And, there's just something so attractive. If you talk to any guy, there's just something so attractive about a girl that has confidence. And I mean, I think this is any person. I don't think this is a guy girl thing. I think any person that just sees someone and they're just so happy and they're so confident, it just kind of, it's like a magnet. I find myself wanting to be friends with really happy people. And I realize it's because I want to feel happier. So when I see someone happy, I'm like, ooh, like I want to go be friends with that person and hang out with them. So now that we've touched on femininity, how it can help, especially in relationships, going into beauty. So I was just kind of mind blown. I was reading these articles. There was articles on Insider, on Olay's blog, and there's so many beauty companies that are talking about the importance and the connection between beauty and how it can not only step up your beauty routine, but also it can prevent aging. So if you
Yes.
can kind of dive into us a little bit or tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. One of the things that ages people the most is stress, tension, and worry. And most people are constantly stressing about something. If you're occasionally stressed and then you're just kind of fine and relaxed, it doesn't really do much damage to you. But if you have chronic stress where you wake up in the morning, you feel stressed, you feel worried, it starts to do damage to your body, basically. It starts to create problems with your immune system. For instance, they did a study with, I think like 60 women, and they found that the immune system cells of highly stressed women had aged by an extra 10 years than from women who are not stressed. So it makes a dramatic difference. And
Wow.
when you do breath work, part of what it's kind of like your inner guidance knows what needs to happen in that session. And so many times the first sessions have a lot of physical release because people hold so much stress in their body. And that's kind of first order of business. And you'll start to feel body tensions or energy moving in your body and body releases. And, that's why many times you see people how their faces shift before and after breath work because the tension's just not in their face anymore. And for instance, one woman shared afterwards, and actually her testimonials on her homepage, that one of the things that she noticed was after the sessions, like her husband would tell her, "Oh my God, it looks like you've just come home from the spa. What happened?"
Yeah.
So that's how much of a difference it is when you can release this tension and stress and just really feel relaxed in your body and just feel at home in your body. So, it can make a tremendous difference. And again, this is not something, I don't want to give people the impression, oh, you do one session of breath work and everything's done.
No, I'm like, what am I, 18 sessions in?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I was on overdrive, so I think I'm like 18 or 20 sessions in. And I also talked to Michael's wife. So Michael's wife is an inner child healer, and that's just like a whole different subject for another day. But it's interesting. So people will spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on skincare, beauty, makeup. They'll do fillers, injections, and one of the key components that they can use from their own body, which is breathing, can actually help them prevent further aging. It's not going to make you go back in time. It's not going to get rid of wrinkles, but it's going to stop adding on wrinkles, because especially for those of you that are constantly stressed or overthinking, whether it's, you have kids and it's stressful with kids, or being in a marriage, your other kid, your husband who's like your other child, or, with work and things like that. Or, even for women feeling the stress of aging, like we stress about aging, so it like stresses us more and we get wrinkles, and, especially overthinking in relationships, to just understand that you have a technique that you can use your own inner body and do this breathing to not only prevent stress, but also prevent aging. So instead of spending thousands of dollars on all of these products and all of these injections and all of these little things that we do, it's just right inside of you, and you just have to breathe. And as I said, it's not a magical serum. You're not going to breathe and all of a sudden you're going to look 10 years younger, but it's going to prevent further aging and further stress. And it's just, what about happiness? Like, who cares about the way you look at some point? At some point, isn't it just, it feels good to feel good inside and just not have these constant relationship and life problems. And as you said, that little monkey mind that doesn't shut up. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of my breathwork session and it goes, "You're not doing it right. You're not doing it right." And I'm like, shh, shh, I'm trying to get in. Someone was asking about your wife. What is Sammy's IG name?
It's at Sammy. I believe it's just her name, at Sammy Nakamura.
Okay. When I post this video, I'm going to post this up to IGTV. I will include all of Michael's information, and I will also include his wife's. Your wife's on point. I've never had someone that like puts me in check so quickly. She's like, "No, listen to what I'm saying. I need you to talk less and listen more." I was like, okay.
No, yeah, she's amazing because she doesn't take, she's very like, yes, this is what, kind of like not just wanting to be liked and that kind of thing. She's very on point and very committed to really allowing people to push through their blocks and to doing, like, to allow people to consciously go back into their childhood and see what these, blocks and these like unconscious patterns that are holding them back is, which is what you do in breath work. But, there's a way to do it consciously in your life too.
I've talked to her. I would love to have her on here too, where we could talk about inner child healing. If people only understood that 95 to 99% of their life right now and for the rest of their life is run by what happened to you from 0 to 6. Yeah. And it's funny because I'm laughing inside because I feel like if she was on here, I'd be like sitting proper because she's, like I have to be, so on point with her and follow the rules. And it's just, she's amazing. She gave me these inner guided meditations that I do. There's like a shadow boxing thing that I do where I punch myself in the mirror, which I know it sounds so weird, but it's like a way of mentally thinking that you're hitting yourself to like remind yourself of something. So whatever your limiting belief is, like if you don't think you're enough or you think there's something wrong, like I literally sit there and I've grown muscles on my arms. Like I've never worked out my arms, but 5 minutes a day, twice a day, I'm like sitting there like in the mirror, punching myself. Like I'm determined to change. I'm determined to change. I'm determined to change. Yeah. I don't know why I picture your wife standing on the side going faster, faster, punch harder, faster. So I'm excited to have her on here as well and talk about inner child healing. And I really do believe, and I can't stress to everyone enough, that breathwork has 1000% changed my life. I am that research girl. There's no way I would have made it through college otherwise. I have researched everything. I've tried everything. I've tried controlled behavior therapy. I've tried psychotherapy. I've even tried hypnotherapy. And I feel like breath work in a combination with meditation, I still do my meditation because, as you said, I feel like I come out of breath work and there might be like some residual something that I'm thinking about that the second I meditate, it's like done, processed, out. And then, of course, I can text message you and harass you. Actually, you can't do that. It doesn't come with the breath work package. You
Yeah,
can't,
that's only for you, Lina.
yeah, you can't text and harass. And so on a final note, what would you say are 3 words to best describe breath work if you could just had to sum it up in 3 individual words?
I would say I am enough. That's really
Oh,
where you get to. It's kind of like you start to really connect with this amazing inner power that you have. And you start to see you don't have to be a victim of anything or of anybody, that you already have all the answers. You have this inner power that you can count on. It's always there. You just need to learn how to connect better with it. And that's really where I feel like the ultimate, goal of breathwork is to get to that place where, like you don't have to doubt yourself. It's like you go through life, I am enough. And you know what? If people don't like who I am, it's okay. But I am enough. And and so that's, it's not something that happens, in 2 seconds, obviously. It's like this neural pathway you have to develop to start to connect to this inner guidance and start to see, yes, it really works. And just like you were saying, where after your session, you had this inclination to do meditation. It's perfect. It's like, because afterwards, sometimes
or
people,
go rollerblading.
yeah, because it's like those are what I call integration techniques, where you take this experience that you've had and kind of really kind of embody it and integrate it. You can do it through rollerblading or through dance or through movement exercises like yoga, through meditation. Some people go to therapy the next day, and that's really helpful. And finding a good way to integrate the experience and start to bring it into your life in various ways is also really important.
And it's not just knowing that you're enough, it's also kind of going back and revisiting. Like I put up a post showing that I was painting. And for whatever reason, when I was younger, I created this belief that I'm not artistic, I don't know how to dance, I'm not good at technology. And so you just go through life just assuming that these things are all correct. And it's weird, like you create this belief because I have this really bad, your wife will tell you this bad thing with like perfection and thinking that I need to be perfect, which by the way is the destroyer of creativity, the destroyer of success, because you would have to think that everything needs to be perfect and you don't deal with failures very well. So what I found with breathwork is I'm now aware of these limiting beliefs. And so I said, well, why do you think you can't paint? Because you're not Picasso? Like there's not a lot of Picassos in the world. Like you're not going to be a Picasso. And so every single thing that I told myself I couldn't do, I wrote it down in my journal. And then after breath work or during breath work, it's things that come up. And then after breath work, I write it down. And then I went and I got myself a French easel. And then I went and I turned on YouTube. I put on like videos. I'm learning how to shuffle right now. Don't ask. I really like deep house music. So I'm learning how to shuffle. So it's almost like, as you said, your inner guidance kicks in. Like nothing told me to start doing that. It's not like I sat there and you don't go to a breathwork session and breathwork doesn't say, okay, guys, today you're going to get rid of your limiting beliefs. No, it's just I went to breathwork and something just came to me saying, hey, well, what are these limiting things that you believe? Like, why do you just assume you're not good at technology? Why do you assume you're not good at this? Why do you assume that you're not good at painting? And so I just, one day after a breathwork, went on Amazon and I ordered the easel and I ordered the paint and every single thing that I told myself I can't do and I keep journaling it, I purposely go and I do those things and I order those things and I said, well, why do I have these beliefs? So that's kind of the amazing part of breath work is without even realizing it, this like inner speech kicks in. It's not your monkey mind saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't go to the gym, eat that Pop Tart. Let's go to, you know, Starbucks and get that pink drink. It's me saying, well, why aren't you going outdoors more? And why aren't you in the sun? And I don't know where it comes from. It just comes and it tells me to go outside and it tells me to break these limiting beliefs.
Well, and Lena, you've hit on something really important actually about breath work, because many times, like you're saying, like you were going back and say, okay, like when I was a child, I got this belief and that belief. Like even during the breathwork session, sometimes you can actually go back to things that happened and actually change your perspective of how you see them. And whereas before you saw them as something that was limiting you or holding you back in life, let's say something happened to you when you're 5 years old, and then in a session, like people will share afterwards, I went back to that experience, and what I saw it was the one thing in my life that really allowed me to see my inner power, that I could make it through something like this. And I can access that now. I can go back and really get that confidence that, I made it through that. I can make it through anything. So you can reframe, different things that happened in your past in a way that they support you in moving forward in your life, seeing things from a different perspective. And your brain works in a very specific way. Once you've decided something, it will collect evidence that that's true. And it won't let anything in that doesn't,
Guilty.
you know,
Guilty of that last year.
your brain's just just like doing what you tell it to. Because if you say I'm a bad artist, it will collect every piece of evidence possible in the world that you're a bad artist. And if you just kind of change your perspective like you did and say, you know what, that was something that happened when I was 5 years old. I have no idea how good I am right now. Let's go check it out. Your brain will start to collect different types of evidence. And it will start to collect evidence that art's great, or, yeah, I can be good at art. And so it's going to start changing your perspective automatically. Once you change your belief system, your brain will follow orders and start to collect evidence for that new belief system. And in that way, you can actually change your past. Your past is not fixed. If you change your belief system, your brain will start remembering your past from a different perspective, from your new belief system. And we actually do a whole course on Train Your Brain, Master Your Life, where we're putting it online now, where you'll start to learn how perception and memory works. You can actually start consciously working with that, like to, use your past to move you forward in your life instead of having it hold you back.
Yeah. So make sure, guys, his website is breathworkonline.com. They also have a class on August 1st. My sister and I were just looking at it. It's an inner child extended meditation with his wife. So as a part of joining Breathwork Online, I know it's easy to do from home. I do it myself. So if you're on there, you'll see me, but my camera's usually off. So not only is it like a really cool kind of group session where everyone's energy is feeding off of each other, but you can also, from time to time, they throw in like inner child healing and extended breath work. So it's so amazing to do. You can do it from home, especially with quarantine and everything going on right now. Whether it's financial problems, relationship problems, life problems, this can be your outlet and your source of help. He offers a free session for anyone that is watching this. So I will put the link up on IGTV as well, so you guys can try it out. It's, like I said, it's been life-changing. I just wanted to share something that I know has helped me. I wish like someone had said it to me, and I get sometimes in life that it's not going to come across until it's meant to come across for you. But so if you're watching this, maybe this is a sign. It's changed my life. I've gotten my family into it, and it's literally one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. So thank you so much, Michael, for helping me get to that level, and for answering my annoying text messages. But breath work, it's the way to go. It's life-changing. Thank you, Michael, for dedicating your life to helping others. And we'll definitely have you back again. And I need your wife on here, because your wife will go down and break it down to the beginning and the core. But breath work is still absolutely necessary. And as I said, something just tells me stuff now. Like, hey, I think you seem a little bit stressed. I think it's time to go rollerblading. So.
And really, my general advice to people is, just like with everything, just try it out and see if you resonate with it. You'll know after a couple, 3 sessions if it feels right to you or if it doesn't. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people. I think we're up to 40,000 now that have tried this online breathwork, and like huge numbers of people have had amazing breakthroughs. And for a few people, it may not resonate too. So it's really just about anything that's experiential. Lina and I can explain it, and you kind of take it in through your left brain thinking mind. But ultimately, you have to give it a try and really experience it for yourself. And then, see how it resonates with you. That's always my advice with anything like this. Experiential, give it a try.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Michael. And thank you, everybody else, for tuning in to Beauty Catch, where we talked about breathing and breath work. And this video will be up on IGTV. So for those of you that are at work, because I got lots of messages about people being at work, you can see it on IGTV. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Lina.
Thank you, Michael. I'll see you tonight. I'll see you tonight.
Okay, awesome.
Bye.